on 22nd April, that day, on Wednesday, were sadly released to the Attorney General under the guise that now a High Court order that he had obtained, a High Court judgment that he had obtained on August 25th, 2025, last year in August, he says now that was a reigning authority he was relying on to pick the body. When the family lost the body, the lawyers were very, very quick. They went to court, even if it was in the night. And in the night, the High Court, the Gauteng High Court in Pretoria, convened, heard the lawyers for the family, and ordered the immediate return of the body. The copies were circulated. I was conducting a live broadcast, and that day I was supposed to host Makebi Zulu, to speak about the politics. He hasn't really had a full meeting since he took over the reins of the Patriotic Front when he won that election. So we're supposed to have that broadcast that day. But he was unavailable, and then we later learned why. The body was missing. The body was collected by the Zambian official, the South African police, and they said that they were now relying on the High Court order. And you should go to what Mulilo Kabesha, he disclosed all the facts in that first write-up. He's trying to walk back, but, internet has memory. We have videos of him, and we have ZMBC broadcasting his position. And he was served. Makebi Zulu confirmed. He had just been told that we have obtained the judgment, and Makebi Zulu in his announcement said the Supreme Court has issued this interdict. Of course, we later learned an hour later that it was actually the High Court that had issued that urgent interdict to the Attorney General of the Republic of Zambia, to the South African police, and everyone that the agents of the Zambian government mentioned. They said they were with the police. So we, the lawyers for the family sued in that matter the South African Police Commissioner and the South African police. And they sued the Foreign Affairs Ministry. There the ministry is called departments. They are departments, they are not ministries. In South Africa, all ministries are departments like it is here in the US. So the Department of International Relations and Cooperation were sued in the event that they were processing a repatriation. And Mulilo Kabesha was also sued. And the court gave clear directives that Mulilo Kabesha, the South African government, the South African police, and the South African Police Commissioner must return the body immediately. Those documents were saved on all the parties. And Makebi Zulu also did the honor of, after getting the copy, he also personally sent it to Mr. Mulilo Kabesha. So that a case, and Makebi Zulu was in Zambia. He immediately, the following day, rushed to South Africa. And it was on this broadcast when Makebi arrived, and I was live around 21 hours, and I was saying we were trying to reach Makebi Zulu. We finally found him, and he had found where the body was. The body was taken to a forensic pathology center in Pretoria, and according to the records, a postmortem, a 5-hour postmortem, had been conducted in the morning, despite the police, who are said to have conducted the postmortem, having the court order from the High Court, despite Mulilo Kabesha having the court order, despite the South African government having this court order to return the remains of the late president to the family as appointed mortuary or to Two Mountains. And remember how the UPND and its media took glory that the Two Mountains as undertakers and funeral parlor refused that the body should not come back. And who would blame Two Mountains? Look at what they have been through, and probably they haven't even been paid for their entire work they've done the last 11 months. And every day there are people coming up to secure the body, to demand for the body. Always they've been struggling with this. Their business is disrupted. because the Zambian government has always tried to pick this body just from day one when the late president died. So when the body moved to Two Mountains, you can imagine the trauma the administration and that business has gone through in the government trying to get the body at all times. Even when this event occurred, when I heard that the police were there, it's not the first time. They had tried again in February. And they had tried in December. They've been trying at every turn. And I thought, they are decent people in South Africa. They'll be told the matters in court. We didn't know that Kabesha had told them a lie, that there was no appeal in the Supreme Court. And we didn't know that he was trying to hurriedly repatriate the body to Zambia. We didn't know that they had planned for this postmortem. We had no idea. Because when you look back, you realize that this was a highly organized operation to pick the body, do a postmortem on it, and probably bring it to Zambia and bury it. I don't know what your interpretation is, but when you look at the facts. So Makebi stumbled upon a body that had undergone an operation for 5 hours from 8:30 to 13:30. And Makebi Zulu and the lawyers picked the remains. Because the order, remember the order called for the return of that body to the family's appointed mortuary or to Two Mountains. And we already know what was happening with Two Mountains, where they were as a business and also as administrators, were also traumatized. They said, Imwe, uyumubiri mwasenda, without the family, without the consent of the family. Because remember, Two Mountains are part of the legal process. They are also sued, among the defendants, because they were the ones that were in custody of the body. So they've been following these matters. So Kabesha lied to them that the Supreme Court appeal that was in Bloemfontein by the family had lapsed, and therefore the only authority he had was the August 25th, 2025 High Court order to pick the body. And they've been part of the process. Because they arrived at 15:30, from the logs we've seen, they only picked the body after 18 hours. And they transported it to Pretoria. And we have seen that the body is logged in at the pathology center, the forensic pathology center, at 18:36. That's when the body was brought in. So at least Two Mountains tried to resist like they have done. But when you are told that this matter is no longer in court, what can you do? They surrendered the body, thinking they are dealing with honest and decent people. No, they were not. So Makebi found the body that had body parts removed, because the forensic exercise had been done for 5 hours. And you see the Attorney General today, and this is the purpose of the broadcast, is that he has rushed to court and is telling the court that he wants the body of the remains of Zambia's 6th president back. He says the family obtained that court order. They didn't disclose 3 major material facts. That they didn't disclose that the process in Bloemfontein had lapsed, that they didn't disclose that the police were conducting an investigation, that they therefore obtained that body from government which had obtained it, or from the South African police. The order is even very confusing. And Mulilo Kabesha, the underlying thing is he wants a body back. He wants it back. And this development has just happened this evening when they saved the family's lawyers over this matter, that in responding to the ex parte order, remember there was an ex parte order, this was an ex parte order directing everyone to go back to status quo, take back the body where it was, or to the family's appointed mortuary. Then they were supposed to go back and then argue the case. So Mulilo Kabesha's Attorney General is now responding to that ex parte order and is accusing the family that they've obtained that body, without disclosing these material facts. And what is interesting is what he is quoting. He's quoting the Inquest Act And in the Inquest Act, he has quoted parts which says whoever is conducting the postmortem has a right to remove body parts for purposes of that postmortem. Why is Mulilo Kabesha insisting in that court documents? They are now relying on the police and quoting extensively that it is okay for whoever has conducted the postmortem to remove body parts. You can read the order, and they've quoted it extensively, the Inquest Act, that any organ or any body part for purposes of that inquest can be removed. That is where we are. They have removed body parts. And they want now to begin justifying, because they are no longer in custody of the body. And they have removed body parts, but they are now justifying why those body parts are missing. That those body parts are missing because they've been taken, the tissues have been taken because of the purposes of the inquest. Now let's come back to the inquest. Ubufi bulayano kubwela. The progressive forces of South Africa has applied to the magistrate court that they want an inquest done. They are alleging that the family reported that the late president could have died, in unnatural circumstances. And they are saying there were public statements made that the president could have been poisoned. This is progressive forces of South Africa that has gone to court, and the matter is in the Gauteng magistrate court. They are asking, number one, that the inquest be authorized. Because remember, these are third parties. Inquests usually are like Comrade KBF stated yesterday, is done by the family, mostly the family. Who has locus stand? Who has consent if your loved one is poisoned? It's usually the family. But here they are an NGO that we've already linked to the Zambian government, where we have seen even the famous Yui Maketo from the Zambian High Commission paying even for their place where they had the press conference. So these so-called progressive forces of South Africa coming to the court, and they are demanding, they are saying, no, we are interested parties, because we have learned that the family are complaining that the late president was poisoned. Of course, that's not true. These are government machinations. But let's discuss the facts without giving opinions. So progressive forces of South Africa have gone to the magistrate court in Gauteng. They are demanding for two things: that the magistrates grants them authority to have the court do an inquest. Number two, to do a postmortem on the remains of the late president, to prove or disprove the assertions that the late president was poisoned, as earlier announced by matters that were in the public media. The magistrate has heard this application and has given them 29th May 2026, in which he is going to determine whether an inquest should be done. Number two, whether a postmortem should be done. So tell us why Mulilo Kabesha is telling the court that the South African police have authority to conduct a postmortem, when the request for this postmortem and this formal investigation for this inquest are in the magistrate's court. The very authority is quoting. He is not disclosing, again, he's accusing the family of not disclosing material facts. He is not disclosing the material facts to the High Court, where he wants a body given back to him. That the court has not granted the inquest and has not granted the postmortem. The magistrate will rule on 29th May 2026. So under whose authority did the South African police, under whose authority did Mulilo Kabesha and the Republic of Zambia do postmortem on the late president without authority, legal authority? And let us assume that the South African police are doing their own investigations and they want to do a postmortem. Again, there are rules and regulations. The late president was not a vagabond. He's not a body they found on the street. He has family. He's represented by lawyers. So the South African police cannot do a postmortem without the presence of the family or the lawyers or any appointed agent. They cannot do that because this is an identified body, it's a represented body, and the family is there. So all their arguments are collapsing. The arguments do not make sense. But what has happened today is that Mulilo Kabesha has responded to the expert order and he wants the court to give him back the body. And he's quickly gone to the Inquest Act, justifying why body parts are removed from where a postmortem has been done. He has quoted it extensively that the body parts are removed for purposes of medical, of tests, associated with the postmortem. What are the facts? The facts are that they have collected body parts from the late president, and this is showing in their own documents. And they're already preempting this matter because they don't have the body. The body, as you heard, Makebi Zulu confirmed that the family now has the custody of the body and that the family is trying to examine that body. So if the body parts are missing, South African police, why is he talking on behalf of the South African police? Is he the official spokesperson for the South African police? Why is he informing us about these missing body parts already? That even if they are missing because the person who's doing a postmortem requires to take those tissues. This is a matter that has aggrieved all of us. All of us have had a family member who has probably died in unnatural circumstances. And we all know that when the person dies and you do a postmortem, in fact, the experts always say, put them to rest immediately after the postmortem. And in fact, you have seen when you go to any burial site, sometimes there is a matter the police or the courts or families have ordered for an inquest, they are fighting. Maybe they are suspecting the widow has poisoned the late deceased person. You have seen that the postmortem is sometimes done at the burial site. So you and I are already worried on the state of the remains of the late president because they may not be preserved properly, especially after Fidaba Waka Kawile for 5 hours. They've opened up the body. It's very difficult to preserve the body. I expected government, even at this late hour, to abandon all court processes. This is now my opinion. And to immediately re-engage the family. At moment to say, okay, things have happened. We regret what has happened. Maybe let's see how we can bury the late president. Because the state of the body at the moment, all of us know, will suffer rapid deterioration. There's no science that will keep the body that has been opened up in that manner. And even the family must have pressure. I think maybe just cremate. Because remains are remains. Cremate or bury quickly. Anyone involved in this matter is now extremely worried about the remains of the late president. Uyo Kabesha, Aborela court at Impenich Tumbi. And if the body parts are missing, are they already? It's not me, it's an Inquest Act which authorizes the person who's doing a postmortem to get those body parts or body organs or tissues from those organs. He's already explaining himself. I don't know what's wrong with President Hakainde Hichilema's government. I don't know where we are is already very bad. You've stolen the body. You've conducted an illegal post-mortem. Body parts are missing. And you should act with a lot of remorse because this is a very sensitive matter. But no, Kabeshalefa Fechtumbi. They know they have no right. They didn't disclose material facts. It's not every battle you win in courts. You should feel for the widow. You should feel for the family. You, Kabesha, you are doing it at the taxpayer's expense. You can fly to South Africa anytime. You've hired the best lawyers in South Africa at the expense of Zambians. You are doing all these in the name of Zambians. Why don't you do the decent thing? And the urgent matter we have is the state of the body. The family must be pressured. Maybe cremate the body. Maybe bury the body. Because no family member, no one would like to see their beloved one, their remains degenerate into something you can't look at. You don't want to do that. But this is what this state has done. To that effect, yesterday, the family, Mashele lawyers, their lawyers, wrote to the state and to the Attorney General outlining how an illegal postmortem and illegal removal of the body were done. They've told that the family is totally aggrieved that you stole the body and you've conducted an illegal postmortem, and they've put it on record. I personally, taking advantage of my position as former Zambia's High Commissioner to South Africa, I've written a letter to the president in South Africa and alerting him to the desecration of the remains of the late president. And I've stated that your government has no right to desecrate the body of the late president and to violate his right. These things have been done in the name of your officials. Either you've collaborated or you've colluded with the Zambian government, or the South African police, by the Attorney General's statement, is now blaming the South African police that are the ones that are doing these things. But again, we are aware that the South African process that would allow the police to conduct a postmortem have not matured. The judge, the magistrate, is supposed to rule on 29th May 2026. We want to Aqualisa, today we are not staying long. It's just a broadcast, urgent broadcast, to alert you that there is a development. Pretoria High Court is responding to the expert order. However, court at the government, the family of the late president must return the body to him or his agent immediately. And he has now even relied, is in those documents, is shifting the blame to the South African police. That the South African police have a right to conduct a postmortem, even remove body parts. Maybe let me get what he has said. You see in his application, the authority is relying on the Inquest Act. If a postmortem was done and body parts were removed, it is not us, it's the South African police and those conducting the postmortem. Because according to the law, they are allowed to remove the body organs, body tissues, or any part there that is required for their investigation. Therein lies what they are already defending themselves over an illegal postmortem where there are body parts of the late president missing. At the moment, they do not have the body. And that's why even decisions like to bury the late president or cremate it would require, again, thought. Because then what do you do with these missing body parts that have been taken without the authority of either a court or law and without the family's consent? And to emphasize, August 2025 judgment, what did it say? The August 2025 judgment was very, very clear. It said government were granted authority to pick the remains of the late president and conduct a state funeral in his honor as demanded by the Zambian law. It even says you lay him at Embassy Park. But it was a conditional judgment. It says the body must be picked, transported, and buried with the presence of the following: the late president's doctor, Dr. Njovu, the ADC to the late president, Chanda, and the family member. When there was no family member. Takwariba Chanda, takwariba Dr. Njovu. There was no family member. Even when the lawyers told them the matters are in court, they said, no, the matters have lapsed in the Supreme Court. And we have evidence the matters have not lapsed in the Supreme Court, because the notice of appeal was filed, heads of arguments were filed, there was another document that should have been filed, there was a holiday in between, but they filed the following day. And even if let's assume they filed it late, they have a right to apply to, because the court is already seized with all these documents, they have a right to apply to file any missing document out of time. So the Supreme Court process is still there, the appeal, the family has stated, is still there. Then you rely on the High Court order. Here, August 25, last year, you say we were given this and we are collecting the body. You collect the body without Dr. Njovu, without Wachanda, without any family member. Mwaya itwala Pretoria, Mwaya chita conduct a postmortem. There is no authority for the postmortem. You collect body parts. And then after that, you now say, no, it's not us, it's actually the South African police. If what you were South African police, what was Yui Maketo doing at the collection of the body? And what was Yui Maketo doing at the postmortem if the Zambian government is not involved? Why did Attorney General issue a comprehensive statement to celebrate we have the body, we are relying on the High Court judgment, and ZNBC Times, Daily Kalemba, everyone carried the statement by Mulilo Kabesha. Did they ever push a postmortem, fiakosa? They realized they had disobeyed the law, they had ignored the High Court order that said they should return the body immediately. And Asambok Sabina Machao, police, there's a matter in the Randburg magistrate. We have brought the facts correct. There's a matter in the Randburg Magistrate Court where the progressive forces of South Africa has gone to court and wants an inquest, because these are strangers to the late president. They also want a postmortem. The judge, the magistrate has heard them, and the matter is coming up on 29th May 2026. Why would the police then pick the body and conduct a postmortem and even remove body parts from the late president? And you are not even handling it any better, because now you are I don't know. So now you've gone to court in your submission, and now you want the body again. You are pushing the lie to the family. No, the family didn't. The court, the family didn't disclose that the matter in Supreme Court had lapsed. No, they didn't disclose that there was an investigation by the South African police over this matter, so it didn't disclose. Give us a body back.
We have since secured the body, as I did tell you, that we only managed to secure the body around 11 p.m. the other day, and we have since taken it to a secure place, and looking forward to other processes and examinations to ensure that what was done was correct, and also to have our own opinion as regards what could possibly have been what the state may have been interested in as regards the body. That is where we are right now.
The remains of the sixth president have at no point been in the physical custody of the government of Zambia. They were held by the South African Police Service throughout these few days which have passed in connection with their inquest. Secondly, the government of the Republic of Zambia has respected and will continue to respect every order issued by the courts. That is not a matter of convenience. It is a matter of principle. Thirdly, the question of how a former president of the Republic of Zambia is to be laid to rest is not closed by the latest court order. Dr. Lungu served as president of Zambia for 7 years. He was head of state, head of government, and commander-in-chief of our defense forces. The duty the Republic owes to that office is not extinguished by a single order on custody. and government will continue through the proper legal channels and with the patience this matter requires to ensure the honors due to a former head of state are properly discharged. To the Lungu family, the position of the Zambian government is what it has been throughout. The burial of a former head of state was never meant to be a contest, and it need not remain one. Government's willingness to engage with the family in good faith to find an arrangement that honors the 60th president is undiminished. Our position remains unchanged.
He was not just a citizen. He was a head of state. And if somebody says there were issues, yes, there are always issues. But in death, we converge to honor the dead, to bury them decently for the president with all the honors, military honors. After the burial, we talk about anything we're unhappy about.
Mr. President, your officials are not acting in that wisdom. What they've done is they picked the body without authority of any court or any family member. Mr. President, after they picked the body, they subjected it to a postmortem despite an active High Court order. And from what Mulilo Kabesha is saying here, and let me quote the specific acts he has quoted in the Inquest Act. He says, for purposes of any examination in subsection 2, any part of any internal organ or any of the contents of a body may be removed, and any body or any part or any internal organ or any other contents of a body so removed, therefore, may be removed and taken to any place, maybe for medical tests and stuff like that. And I was saying, why is Kabesha now quoting an Inquest Act? That's not necessary in this process, because no court in South Africa has directed that the postmortem be taken. Why is he quoting this law extensively about body parts that can be removed and taken anywhere? He's quoting the law. Yet the law is quoting, like they always do in Zambia. They do an unlawful act and then they read you the law, as if their illegality must be justified by the law. We want to call, let's hear what your views are. We called for this urgent broadcast for this particular matter, that there's a development in South Africa where the Attorney General has applied to the High Court and he wants a body back. And he says the family didn't disclose material facts when they obtained that court order. Then he has extensively surrendered the matter to the South African Police Service, that they have a right to pick anybody and conduct for their own investigations, conduct criminal investigation, even do a postmortem and remove body parts. That's where we are, and that's the purpose of the broadcast today. Call, the lines are open, and let's hear what your views are.
We have since secured the body, as I did tell you, that we only managed to secure the body around 11 p.m. the other day, and we have since taken it to a secure place, and looking forward to other processes and examinations to ensure that what was done was correct, and also to have our own opinion as regards what could possibly have been, what the state may have been interested in as regards the body. That is where we are.
Hello, caller. Let's begin talking. Let me hear from you.
Good evening, Ambassador.
Good evening.
Ambassador, I think ili ashiria wa former president wa Edgar Lungu liambukula tukarifyo mtima sana. Uyu mufyashi muliro Kabesha takwa toruse. I think abantu chintu beminine pofie kufa yokutiro kwebati basende amapatsa amabody parts basende lyayo okutwala abeno ko bengatwala kuma issues ali bayikata kuma rituals yayo because if your fiance if were kuma courts uko ni cover up fie iya kutiro kwebati yo issue abantu bamone kwatiri mbifye kwati bambe kola punda tawe nali yakukoti nali yakukoti ero ni ishibena if bale fwana abafumi yako kumubiri wa former president so abo bamutiro kabesha nabagainde ekirema bale bomba hand in hand. If you remember kwalipo issue kunu mokuyanshi kushamba I think there was a message yafumine kuri Levi Ngoma iya ishile ya kuri bamuliro kabesha ilio balera nshanya pama issues aya fyamuti ama chamzi cha kututa chamu muramwine mukoti ba Esther Lungu ilo kwa lidi ashiria ma line of fact kwali kweli ashiria ka blue lead ilo ino mukapose mukoti no yukasobe kumenso yo line of fact ukachitefi wafibika pamo ababantu baletwa ngala fe kumana. These people are criminals. We are dealing with the criminals. These criminals, they are now governing this nation. So at the end of the day, abantu balai kala kwatirimbi tabeshibe ifu bekalire pantu akola safe bachitechi bayakukoti bachitechi bayakukoti and they are very good mkufa okurufya abantu. We are dealing with criminals. So now if Indian your ambassador imitima shabantu nashikalipa if yalambo kula chitika muchalo tafya wame baleke ko balungu uruporo wabashike pantu balungu bali kwata ma followers balungu bali kwata ma supporters abo bene bale leta ma supporters babo ukutiro kwebati bale ya kuma courts like ama NGOs yini ku South Africa even other people they can take na bena action munshila imbi ama followers wa balungu so beyambo kutira bale basunkanye sana family ya balungu bali kwata ma followers so ama followers ngabayima bakachitashani bali abantu tuwabaleke pofyawe. So those people they need to respect the former president. Na abafukano kumushita respect former president and abantu nabekala tondoro thinking bakekala punch no rupo bakomfwane nenshila bakasange kutira benga twinga shikira mu former president. Now it seems like they want to show their muscle kula sunkanya urupo balungu.
But a lot of people want to speak and I don't want to stay long. Natasha Bayama, thank you for your contribution.
Okay,
Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from and make your contribution. Yeah, hello?
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll be very brief, but straight to the point. Ambassador, we all know this. First and foremost, thank you for what you are doing. We know you must be an angel on this day that you have never had any bereavement in the family, whether you have close friends or whoever. We all know that sometimes if we differ as a family and friends, usually funerals always bring us together, unite us. And it is at this moment that I thought the HH and his team could have used this funeral to bring the family and himself to forgo the past and move on. And from the day that this thing happened, you know what comes to my mind? Is nothing else but the postmortem. The person who witnessed the postmortem is too young, very, very young, to see the remains of the head of state, the former head of state. You see, even you can go to military, you can go where you have people who are assigned at your rank. If you are a warrant officer, your fellow warrant officers will do that. What more at the level of a presidency? There must be people who stands, even in death, they respect you. But look at how the man has been belittled. This is one thing that it hurts, and it hates more. Allow me in my conclusion to borrow the statement that the other brothers just used. Lungu he still has followers. And if those followers are pushed to the corner, they will rise. Not even the army, not even the police will protect him. There is no army that can defeat its own people. So let us not to have this spirit of stupidity in Sengo as a nation. No, we can still learn from other countries to unite this country, which is a beacon of peace. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contribution.
Anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contributions.
Amwambicha kubalira kundere tokutotera kufuma kuli imwe panchito yesume mnechita na te imwe na tatuishibe fyonsefi. Bati bamwamba chimu chile mpapusha. Nde papa yafyo bale ingira mu South Africa ukwambira fenda bakateka bamo kwati takwa bana intelligence. Shishibe passport bakwete yakwe bati bitubala ingira mu South Africa munshire ya musango efi nokula mkuchite efi ntu efi mu charo chimbi. Bamwamba bushe chali bafye nomo umuntu fofya bafye ku bantu unga yachite ekintu kya musango fere chakula bali kwatentambi mu charo cheso munini nsoni charo chonse efi kirero shapali ifwe ero chimbi cha kwirisha bamwambe cha mpapusha chakwe bati Edgar Lungu bali serving in Zambia for 7 years. But South Africa, they know Edgar Lungu very well. Even while in South Africa, the first thing he did, he had a courtesy call to the president. He went to see him and tell him to say, I'm here. But kutibaleke chintu cha musango filia abantu bakwata gas yakwe batiti bala ndikula chite musango filia nabakapukola bonse. Where was the Minister of Home Affairs and Intelligence to allow such kind of things to happen?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let's take as many calls as possible. I don't intend to stay long today. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Hello, good evening, Mamamba. I'll remain anonymous.
Anonymous, make your contribution.
But I think number 2 wants to okulanda po. Ine muku tontonka nyakwanzi. If you feel so for Badeshta, they are just testing waters. Abadefa kube civil unrest, abadefa kube fiongo, so that's why they postpone my elections because they've seen that they've done a lot of wrong things. If you think never be badishta defective, but you actually in parliament, but if bashiri bade fulapo niendalama, if you think nothing about kuma koti, but if tikishaba nabo, so if you on safe, my gimmicks yabo fia kwat, but if I'm Zambians waka fulwe. Because it's no man shambok to Kalipa. When farmers Zambians work when they rise up, but and that you na to the postpone my elections. Because the Kwam Pampamina was so. Now Chidamo, now I'm to Bengalanda to Bulo shit, Tabano Bulo shop, but if I but why come I gimmicks Aquati, Vekali, Mufifulo for Baikalam?
Thank you. Thank you. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from and make your contributions.
Mama ombe.
Endita.
Bamwamba ichanta shinde fo kumitotela panchitomule bomba na amakale sami pele pali lili ashi ili very important kwisambele ya chalo. Ichakubalila po bamwamba muinenuka ndifo kumishipikisha no kumipele nkosho kuti imwe leso mwineo kamilambula mulefo kulete chintu icha yana. What I'm trying to say, you are trying to bring the truth to be known to the world and to the Zambian people. Such things are not easy. Ndelo mbafele sami pele amaka na wisdom kuti mupitilisha